Hi, this is Phoenix, and I'm going to briefly talk about the limits of rationality and the benefits of free association. So essentially, my main claim is going to be that rationality is limited, rationality is bounded, rationality has certain pitfalls that we take for granted. In fact, I want to say that the problem with rationality is that it's so organized. So basic rationality or arguments are set up as basically having a premise, and then the premise leads to the next premise, and then that premise leads to another premise, and then all of that leads to a conclusion. And so obviously that can be really good for proving points, it can be really good for persuading people, it can be really good in that sense. All of this organization can be good. However, I think that when we live in our day-to-day life, sometimes we get too carried away by this notion that we feel like we have to prove something, and that something has to be proven by evidence in order to be true. And I think that this is a faulty assumption. And so basically what I want to posit is that we spend more time free associating and trying to understand reality that way. So I'm very taken by William James's conception of stream of consciousness, which is this idea that we select and we focus on certain ideas at a time, at any given time, and it forms a stream. And his idea is that it's a very limited stream. But free association would seem to be the the opposite process in a sense, because it's unlimited. And I think that that's how we should strive to see our reality. So for instance, it's very difficult to do this because whenever we're interacting with the world and with reality in general, we're always struck by its finite nature. You know, so we think, well, there's a tree, there's grass, you know, there's a table, and there's nothing more. But I think that this is exactly the wrong way to approach it. And I think what we should be doing is we should free associating. We should be free associating. And so that would mean thinking about how that tree makes us feel. And then wherever that feeling will lead us, maybe to thinking about the color and what the color means for us. And then maybe thinking about a memory that that color evokes. And then before we know it, we've essentially free associated out of control. Now, I have an example to illustrate why this kind of free association can be really a cool way to view reality. So I'm writing a book right now called The Burning Metamorphosis, and the writing is very, it's very free association writing, and the character, the main character Phoenix, you could say, stands outside of time, and he stands outside of reality, and he does this because the narration is told with it's not told in chronological order, and so it's out of order in that sense, and so in that sense it's out of time, but also it's out of reality in the sense that all of the thoughts are not limited by what is given in that exact moment, because so for instance, when Phoenix is talking to the snake angel, he's thinking about his interaction with the snake angel, but he's also thinking about everything that interaction means and everything, and so he's free associating, and so he's thinking very stream of consciousness style of what that interaction means and all of the associations, and his reality opens up in that sense. And so the book in a sense is kind of an illustration of this idea of free association and the power of it to kind of destabilize our reality and our understanding of reality. And I'm saying this because I think it's very easy, and I'm just using this as an example, but I think it's very easy to look at reality. So let's say we're looking at a tree, and that's reality. Well, it's very easy to just say, well, the tree has bark, the bark is rough, and the top of the tree is green, and that is that. It's very easy to stick with that kind of mentality, but if we free associate, it opens up our mind in a much more intense way that we otherwise wouldn't be able to experience, and it gives us this ability to step outside of our finite reality and to entertain other notions and to allow our mind to be more free. And so of course you might be wondering what this has to do with rationality, and it's basically just this notion that rationality is limited because of its organization, but by free associating, we realize that we don't have to organize our thoughts per se, and even more importantly, we realize that we don't always have to prove something. So we could very well say that the tree is, you know, purple, and, you know, whether or not we worry if this is true or not is exactly beside the point, because we're simply free associating and imagining the tree as being purple. And that's essentially the best way to explain why free association is important, because it's able to allow us to break through our forced conceptualizations by rationality and by what kind of society expects. And it allows us to essentially posit this theory that by free associating more, we open up our reality to kind of almost a higher reality and more than meets the eye, due to the infinite creativity of our thoughts and the way that our mind works and our metacognition and the like. This is Phoenix, and I hope you enjoyed this little talk. And yeah, so have a good day. Thanks.